So I wanted to pose a question: why women promote singlehood to other women? And I feel like there is an alarming number of women today who do not want to participate in what society has deemed to be the pity and misogynistic games that come with being in a relationship with a heterosexual male. And when I say heterosexual, for those who don't know what heterosexual is, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on. Heterosexual means straight. So straight women who don't want to be in relationships with straight men. And we see that there is a great number of women who tell other women that they basically don't need to be in relationships because, girl, why do you need a man? Especially if, you're independent, you're strong, you pay your own bills, you pay your own, you pay your own way, you can emotionally support yourself, you can physically support yourself. And when I say physically, I mean, we all know what that means. But on top of that, what I also see is women who are in relationships with men who are still promoting or influencing followers and their, fandoms to be single and independent, and this whole mindset, still kind of having this narrative, dominate their content. And yes, it bugs the fuck out of me because I'm like, okay, so how are you going to tell women to not be in relationships, but you're in a relationship? And two, and not necessarily be in a relationship, but you're basically promoting the unhealthy message of you don't need a man, you're this, you're that, the whole masculine energy. However, you are in a very much feminine stance in your relationship with, whoever your significant other is. And I don't know why this is how it is. I don't know why I don't know why other women promote this narrative. I do actually. It's either because they it's capitalism. They make money off of promoting messages that are, of course, unhealthy and that help further their careers. They're also promoting agendas of those on the outside, whom they work for, and they have to push those types of narratives. It's literally the same thing as men promoting gang violence and shooting this person and drugs and this and that. And of course, the record labels making money off of that type of music. But it's the same thing for women in promoting this whole masculine energy and this whole independent mindset. But I think with that all being said, I think that lays the foundation of this conversation that I'm getting to. We have to know that we are being sold, and we're continuing to be sold on the complete opposite of what our purpose here. When I say our purpose, I mean on earth, within this universe, God's plan. And I know a lot of you would say, well, God's plan is for me to be in a relationship with a man and have a baby. And no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is with these unhealthy messages and narratives and, all of these things that have kind of birthed out of, this foundation of unhealthy, we look at our fellow man, as women, we look at men as the problem, and vice versa. They look at us as the problem. And we're moving further and further and further away from being able to see each other's worth and value. And I think that is all that it comes down to. Being able to see each other's worth and value. And we know that as a woman, I've seen historically, and within my family, a woman, we can do anything. We give birth, we take care of the children, we stay up hours and hours and hours doing whatever we need to do in order to not just take care of ourselves, but our families. We pay the bills. We have to, there's nothing that a woman can't do. And we know this, we know this. And that, of course, is what allows this fire to continue to burn, is this whole survival mindset of, I don't need a man, I can do it all myself. We know this, ladies. We know this. We know that we can take care of ourselves. And the reason why I continue to repeat myself is because that's not the point. The point is not taking care of yourself and being able to survive. Of course, you're going to have to do what you have to do given any sort of circumstance that you're put in. However, when we are looking at the masculine energy and how that kind of comes into, how we need to, how can I say this? How we bring the masculine energy within our, what we need the masculine energy for. What is the purpose? What is the value? I think we've allowed the unhealthy messages in narratives to kind of completely lock that door. And until we open that door back up, we won't know why men are so valuable. We don't know why men are needed and necessary. And with that being said, I want to tell you that having a balanced male-female relationship, not just a sexual one, but one that is understanding of the emotional, the spiritual, the mental points. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if I know that I bring a certain level of emotional, mental, and spiritual support to a situation, and he does as well, what a beautiful thing that is, because they're coming from opposite sides, but being able to fulfill each other in a way that is within their own way of being. So as a woman, I can pretend to be masculine. I can be masculine, or I can kind of mimic what I feel a masculine energy is to mimic, but I am not a man. I don't want to be a man. I don't want to have to express those things that I know I can express. I know that I can, have that kind of masculine energy about myself. But my goal is to be feminine. My goal is to uphold the divine feminine that I know that, God in the universe has kind of allowed me to come into this world and exist and be. And the further away that we push our male counterparts, our masculine counterparts, the further we have to, or the more we have to kind of make up for that energy within ourselves. And there is a passage that I read. It's it's a quote from Akil, the goddess, Black woman, mother of civilization. And she's basically referring to men and women as the sun and the earth. And I wanted to read the passage because I felt it was very important to not only read this, but break it down in a way that we solely see this conversation as, being single as a woman is only, oh, well, I can take care of myself. I don't need a man. We're so past that's not even what I'm talking about. We have to get into the mindset of the mental and the spiritual aspect of all of this. And I try my best to articulate myself, but I don't always feel like I'm making the point full circle. So I wanted to go ahead and read this for you guys. Okay, so it says, and this is a 3-paragraph passage, by the way, but it's pretty dope. Understand that you are to manifest the strength of your own individual feminine nature that the universe has created within you. It is all too often that women have misunderstood and thought that to exert a strength of character meant to exert a masculine character. But this is clearly a misunderstanding. The liberation of women is not about being liberated to run up behind a man trying to imitate him. Your liberation is about having the freedom to express the divine genius that your God has put in you. Your liberation comes from having the freedom to express that divine genius through your own medium and expression of strength. No, the man is not the yardstick by which you are to measure your strength. You cannot accurately measure the strength of a woman in comparison to a man. No, you just don't do that because you're dealing with two totally different components. We cannot say that a woman is not strong based on the observation that she is not exerting her strengths as a man would exert his. That is improper. That is like measuring the sun by the earth or the earth by the sun. It would be foolish to say that the sun is inadequate because it does not produce vegetation or other animated life forms on its surface like the earth does. Just as it would also be foolish to say that the earth is inadequate because it does not produce inflamed gases that belch out from its surface, projecting light and heat as the sun does. You do not compare them one to the other to determine their function and duty or to measure their worth and value. You just don't do that. The sun and the earth are two totally different types of planets that work together harmoniously to produce life as we know it. They are both planets, but they express and exert their own individual strengths of character through their own universal purpose and nature. The sun was created to have its function, and the earth was created to have its function, and they work together. So this passage, again, is from The Goddess Black Woman by Akil, the Mother of Civilization. If you're interested, I can give you more information on the passage and everything like that. So hit me up if you want to know. But I felt that was necessary to say because I can spin around in circles talking about this conversation and how deep we've fallen as a society within these very unhealthy messages and narratives, and just also understanding the historical context that comes with all of this, that has laid the foundation of where we are and how we see each other as man and woman, and how we no longer can work cohesively as a team. In understanding and seeing each other's worth and purpose and value. And if I can speak on that as well, just a little bit, the historical context, taking men out of the household, they're no longer purposeful, they're no longer necessary. Women having to kind of take over and be this, be in survival mode and take care of the kids and do this and do that, and everything that has kind of come with, made what we are today into what it is. We have a very severe misunderstanding of strength and independence, and none of which are correlated with paying your own rent or exerting character that is of a man. I feel the most powerful thing that we can begin to do is see the value in each other, and also begin to adopt relationships that are that we hold each other accountable. Seeing ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually astute, finding your match, finding your balance, being able to kind of lay down your boundaries and what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. And some of those things can't just be so cliche meaning, he has to have his own this, he has to have his own this. Now, there is a difference between, finding someone who is of a lazy caliber, someone who has no motivation, no productivity, no anything like that. I'm not talking about those types of people, but those people who you can see and understand where they're coming from, certain things that you can work with, someone who does want to be mentally, physically, and spiritually accountable to not just you, but themselves. Do you guys both have a relationship with God? Do you guys both have, some form of process and understanding and knowledge of the universe and how it works? There is a lot that goes into relationships, and it's not just about you guys just paying the bills with each other. And I think that that's of course one of the issues, because those are the perpetual messages that we see in society. But also, again, as I read, seeing the value in one another and seeing the worth in one another and seeing that each individual person's function is different. But when you work together, you can create life. And not just life in the sense of, creating life in a baby or bringing life into the world, but creating life and happiness and positive energy, a positive, foundation and frequency that surrounds you and, is a meaningful, sustainable system for growth. And that's all, so with that being said, I to answer the question, why women promote singlehood to other women, I think that the women who do promote it for the most part are either being paid to promote it to other women, even though they're in their own relationships, healthy or not. Also, women who unfortunately are projecting their own insecurities and their own unhealthy misunderstandings in perhaps situations that they've gone through onto other women. And I don't feel like that is fair. And I do want women to begin to see these types of narratives and messages as is something to not really glorify and pay more attention to. It's not really our fault. I don't blame anyone for having these types of stances. However, it is up to us to be more knowledgeable and be more accountable for what we choose to indulge in and kind of take into our own lives and apply in our own lives. There is a lot that comes with everything. There is a reason, there's a cause and effect. So I understand why we are here as a people, as a society, as a community, as women. I understand why we're here, but we still have to do the work and try our best to awaken our eyes and be more knowledgeable about where we are and who we are, what we want, and don't just accept that society and what society is saying and what society is telling you. We know that you can take care of yourself. We know that you can pay your own bills. We know that you can, but it's not about that. It's not about that at all. It is about the appreciation. It's about the cohesiveness. It's about the love. It's about the feminine, the divine feminine and the divine masculine working together to create something more beautiful. And we're getting further and further and further and further away from that. And it's, I just want us to kind of sit back and think a little bit and create a process, create some stages for yourself, create some goals that, you can really expound upon, which could ultimately help you and, the future generations, because we also have to kind of switch these conversations. We can't just allow the unhealthy messages to run rampant on the airwaves. And not just those messages, the music, everything. We have to kind of be more accountable to ourselves and the young people coming behind us. We're all a team. That we're a team, and we just got to do better. But this is thank you for tuning in to The Conscious Fae. And if you like this video, please subscribe, like, comment if you have a comment. You guys, I thank you for listening and tuning in.